Hey folks, I'm Mark Smith, the host of the Four Boxes Diner. For those of you new to this channel, I'm a constitutional attorney. I'm a member of the U.S. Supreme Court Bar. I am proud to say that I'm a gun owner and that in 2021, my legal scholarship was cited and quoted by a federal judge, Roger Benitez, in California when he declared California's so-called assault weapon ban to be unconstitutional under the Second Amendment. And if you love the Second Amendment and you want to protect it and our rights, please hit the subscribe button to help us spread our message to gun owners and to gun rights enthusiasts all across America. Today, here's the lesson. Do as I say, not as I do, because I am more important than you. Now, of course, this is not something that I believe. I'm not more important than you. I don't think that at all. But this, of course, is what the anti-gunners generally believe, especially when those anti-gunners are part of the political elite. Now, you may have just seen the story, that broke by the Daily Mail in the United Kingdom, that anti-gun and defund the police supporter, at least she was, Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot has a unit of 70, that's 70, not 7, not 17, 70 police officers in Chicago protecting her. Here's the thing, that's in addition to, ready? In addition to her 20 police officer bodyguard detail. So Lori Lightfoot, who has on the record historically as not necessarily being a fan of the police, generally wanted to defund the police. Guess what? She's got 90 police officers protecting her. Do you think there's a few guns? Do you think they carry guns? I'm guessing the answer is yes. Now, I'm going to put a link to the story from the Daily Mail. Did a great job on this. They reported all this information, and I'm going to put it down below. And again, remember, in 2020, Lori Lightfoot, the mayor, who again, in addition to being anti-police with her $80 million in police funding cut she wanted in 2020, she certainly is a huge supporter of gun control in all of its forms. And yet, of course, the officers that are paid for by the taxpayers. She doesn't have to pay. I'm sure it's entirely paid for by the taxpayers of Chicago. And what does that detail do? They're supposed to, quote, provide physical security for City Hall, the mayor's residence, and the mayor's detail command post. That's a lot of help. Now, how many of you have your own security guards and security details? I'm guessing that you frankly don't, because I know I don't, and I'm guessing none of us really do. But let's go eastward, and let's look at another anti-gunner and how he deals with armed body protection. Let's look at the new mayor of New York City, Eric Adams. Now, I hate to say this, but I actually had sort of high hopes about Eric Adams when he was campaigned to be the mayor of New York City last year, because he said on the campaign trail at one point that he would carry a gun. This is true, right? Eric Adams, the current mayor of New York, said on the campaign trail that he would carry a firearm if he was elected mayor of New York City, okay? Because remember, Adams is a special snowflake in New York City because he's a former NYPD captain. So, he's able to carry guns apparently in New York City personally, okay? Now, Adams was asked just last week if he carries a gun right now as a mayor, and I'll put the news reports down below to talk about this. Now, Adams was asked, does he carry a gun as mayor? And he said no, because he feels safe. Now, you have read the papers and you've seen the news reports. New York City is not safe, in my opinion. In my opinion, crime rates are out of control. I mean, you see the videotapes. Who are you going to believe? What, people say, oh, there's nothing wrong with New York, or your lying eyes. When you watch those videotapes of people getting pushed down subway steps, on the subway tracks, they're getting hit in the head with bricks, and you're getting shot, all sorts of things. That is New York City. But what about the mayor, Eric Adams? What is he doing? Oh, yes, he agreed, finally, he's agreed to accept a security detail to protect his life. I'm not surprised. That's what all the mayors do, right? They're special. Now, here's the thing. Eric Adams decided apparently he's not going to carry a gun. You know why? Because he's got police officers protecting his life in a security detail that carry guns for him, right? He doesn't need to be inconvenienced with carrying a gun for self-defense because he's got other people paid for by the New York City taxpayers who are doing it, so he doesn't need to be bothered. That's very convenient, isn't it? Now, I wanted to actually talk about a great quote from Peter Schweitzer, the famous Peter Schweitzer, the great investigative journalist Peter Schweitzer, who you see on Fox News and TV all the time with one great report and one great book after another. Okay, Peter Schweitzer had a great quote many years ago in one of his books. Okay, and here's what Peter Schweitzer said. I think it really speaks to both Lori Lightfoot and Eric Adams and all those anti-gunner, the rich anti-gunners, the political elite anti-gunners, the religious elite anti-gunners, all of whom are anti-gun when it comes to you and me. But they, of course, surround themselves with people with guns to protect their lives because they think their lives are more important than our lives because we're just peasants. We're the serfs. We're the subjects. That's how I suspect they think of us. I view us, by the way, as citizens, but I'm not sure that all of those politicians think that we're citizens. I think they prefer to think of us as serfs or subjects and not citizens. Okay, so back to the Peter Schweitzer quote. Here's a great quote he said. Quote, despite the fact that they often speak of them with genuine conviction, these do as I say liberals do not actually trust their ideas enough to apply them at home. Instead, when it comes to the things that matter most in their personal lives, they tend to behave ironically more like conservatives than liberals, which can only make one wonder if liberal prescriptions don't really work for them as individuals, how can they work for the rest of us? A great question and observation by the investigative journalist Peter Schweitzer, whose work we're all familiar with. Now, again, I actually think that quote from Peter Schweitzer is to some degree hearkening back to a even more famous political work, a famous political novel called Animal Farm. Many of you probably saw the cartoon, you've seen the story, you read the book, okay? Animal Farm is a political novel by a British author from many decades ago, named George Orwell, who's also the author, of course, of the book 1984. Now, George Orwell wrote about in Pig Farm the following: all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. That was Orwell's quote from Animal Farm, his great political novel, with a lot of lessons about how politics really work, even though it was sort of a discussion of animals as a metaphor. Orwell's quote, I think, could be applied directly to the goals of America's elite gun grabbers. You see, all Americans should be equally disarmed in their view, but some Americans are special and are entitled to the benefit of guns. And in their view, as I see it, the elite gun grabbers don't think that you are entitled to the benefit of guns or I am entitled to the benefit of the guns, but they are because they're special. They're better than us. That's something you must remember. Okay? But you and I, we're much smarter. We understand the real world in a way that others, a lot of people on the anti-gun side really don't, okay? They live in these, bubbles. They're in academia. They don't talk to real people. They don't understand mechanics or plumbers or blue-collar workers or truck drivers or any of the people that actually make this country run, okay? So, but because of that, you and I know something that they, I think, often don't, which is we understand that real life and the real world in which we live is not a Hollywood movie, okay? In the real world, the atomic blonde movie star Charlize Theron cannot take out half a dozen East German security agents, is my guess. And superhero Scarlett Johansson cannot beat up a man twice her size. That's, again, my best guess. When the latest anti-gun protest march ends, okay, we know what happens. Many of these anti-gun hypocrites go home to their well-guarded compounds, their gated communities, or they just go home, okay? No armed guards and electric gates for you. And for those who may think that they're sticking it to the man, hey, we're showing to the man, by begging politicians to take away your civil rights of self-defense, the reality is this is exactly what, in my opinion, the man wants to do, right? They want to ensure your helplessness and my helplessness. Why? So we have to go to the political class and beg them for protection from the criminal elements that many in the political class, by the way, are happy to let out onto the streets. But again, if you are a supporter of this channel, you are probably smart enough to understand exactly what I'm saying, which is that in reality, the movement to take away gun rights in America, the movement to take away my right to keep and bear arms and protect myself, my family, my community, my friends, my colleagues, and the right that allows you to do the same, okay? This is a civil right. And the people that are trying to take away those rights from us, in many respects, are actually anti-civil right activists because they're trying to shrink individual rights and grow the power of government over all of us when it comes to our own ability to be self-reliant and independent in matters of self-defense and protecting ourselves, our loved ones, and our community. Okay, well, I hope you learned something here at the Four Boxes Diner. I hope we'll see you again soon. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. We really appreciate it. And again, we'll see you soon here at the Four Boxes Diner.
Orders up. Table 2A.